If you bought the gallery case last week on my call, you'd be sitting at a nice 9% gain as of today. Another 90,000 of them got open over the last 7 days, and with no new supply and the existing supply evaporating, we've got some future growth prospects as well. And today, I'll give you some new ones. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the news. I'm your incredibly handsome host, Mike Water9. Let's take a look at the state of the market as of today, December 6th. In the last 7 days, the total market cap climbed from 5.58 billion to 5.79 billion. That is a clean 5% gain on the week. As of making this video, there's been a slight pullback today, but it's noise. It's well within the volatility range that we're expecting in any market. The biggest story over the last week is the rise of cases. The two front runners being the Riptide and the Glove case. Lots of money poured into them, and they're still enjoying double-digit percentage gains. Even smaller cases caught a bid, but as of right now, they've pulled back. Early holders are using the new exit liquidity to take their profits and move them elsewhere. Tale as old as time. Let's get into the juicy bit. So last week on the news, I told you that the gallery case was the play, not only for the short to medium term, but also the long term, due to its discontinuation. A very unique trait for a case to have. If you listened, you're sitting on an 8% return. 1 week, pure fundamentals, playing the game right. And according to CS Case Tracker, roughly 90,000 of them were opened since that video. That is supply leaving the market permanently. We've still got room to run, and the thesis is playing out just as we expected. So when I give you today's call, understand, we're not speculating for speculation's sake. This is good old pattern recognition. This is the method I'm putting you guys on. Now, a question I get asked a lot is, what about the fever case? Is that the next gallery? Short answer, yes and no, and allow me to explain. When Valve inevitably announces its discontinuation or removal from the Armory, which is inevitable, you're going to see a spike. And that discontinuation announcement will probably be your biggest spike in ROI that you'll see on that case for a long time. That's your exit. Sell the news. For one, the fever case is extremely popular. It was more popular than the gallery case, and now it's the only one in the Armory. Not only that, it is December. Historically, Counter-Strike's most played month. Player counts are peaking, and everyone and their fucking mother is opening fever cases right now. So supply is flooding, so it's going to take a long time for the price of the fever case to grow to the levels that you're expecting. On top of this, we're not talking 2016, 2017 Counter-Strike. People now invest in cases. So when you have so many people investing in cases, right, you'll see price rise on speculation alone, but supply decreases much less even after discontinuation because you have so many people who are holding cases. So I don't think you're ever going to see gains like the CSGO case 1 and all the past cases that saw extreme gains, but you will see gains if you are buying them. So ride the announcement if you're in already. Don't get greedy when that news hits. Take your profit, move your profits, and sell into strength. Then you rotate that capital into assets that are slept on. Cases with more growth prospects that are seeing depressed prices at the moment. Tighter supply, real catalysts in place to see the case of the price go up. Rarer cases, discontinued cases, higher tier cases with proven demand. Don't fall in love with your investments because they don't love you. Take your profits and move on somewhere else. This week's case call is going to be the Spectrum 2 and Spectrum 1. Now this one actually pulled back in the last 7 days. We're down around 4 to 5% since that initial pump. We love seeing red because that just means shit's on sale, baby. Current prices, $384 and $311 for the two Spectrum cases respectively. Now here's my thesis. Now the knives in this collection are pretty popular. The knife has seen relative popularity compared to where it has been. And it's got the butterfly ruby and sapphire, which is never going to go out of style. And that's your key right there, the ruby and the sapphire butterfly. It's not as popular as the gamut Doppler trade-ups, so these are kind of flying under the radar right now. But as these trade-ups happen over and over and over, your red supply goes down, and you actually see higher ROI on opening the Spectrum case as opposed to just buying one of the reds off the market. So as the market stabilizes and people start hunting for value, this case will eventually see more action. More openings, more supply pressure on the reds, and then more trade-up activity, and the cycle continues. All while the supply of the case goes down. But the setup is in place for a meaningful move. So keep it on your radar. Now, I don't want you to just blindly follow me into the void. I want you to understand the fundamentals about how this shit works, and you can apply it here, and you can apply it in any market that you find yourself investing in the future. So why do case prices go up? You have the obvious answer, which is the supply, and that absolutely has something to do with it. But I'm talking about the short term here. Supply is a long-term factor, but let's look at the short term. How can we determine that? There's a very clear pattern. I want you to look at the knife prices. Look at which knives went up the most, and look at which knives went down the most. And that'll tell you the future over the next couple of weeks. Let's say the knives from the Chroma collection go up in price pretty heavily, 10%. What happens here is people notice the ROI, and they start doing more Chroma trade-ups. When you do more Chroma trade-ups, you use up more Chroma reds. Thus, price of reds goes up, and price of knives go down until you reach an equilibrium. In that time in which the knife and the red find an equilibrium, people may start to open more cases because your ROI on opening a case and getting a red is better than just outright buying the red. So case openings increase. Supply of reds goes up, and the supply of cases goes down. And that speeds up your long-term factor of supply affecting price. If you think you're the only one who sees these gaps in ROI, you're not. It just takes a decent amount of time for the market to find equilibrium, especially with the restrictions and guidelines Valve has in place now with the 7-day holds and shit. Follow the knife prices. It gives you a blueprint of where the money's going.
I got this knife for free, and here's how you can too. Since 2017, vLoot's been giving away skins, over $20,000 worth. Websites from around the globe sponsor these giveaways in exchange for follows on Twitter or by signing up on their website. Invite a friend, even more. Link in description. You've wasted time on worse.
We're going to do this every week. We're going to look at the indexes of the prices. One by me, the rest by PriceEmpire. The first one being the Mike Water 9 Print Stream Index, trademark. Just one of the most liquid, so we can tell a lot by how those move, and it's pretty much indicative of the entire market. And it's up around 4 to 5% this week. These are play skins, so people are buying play skins, which is a good sign for you if you're investing. You want people playing the game. High tier items see another decent week. They're up 2%. High tier investors are happy. The biggest movers are a lot of the high tier gloves. The Hedge Maze saw a 10% increase, as well as the M4 Hot Rod. Mid tier again, to my point, up 4% on the week. Right, if people are buying mid tier items, that means we just have more players in the game, which means more case openings for you if you buy cases a lot, and you'll see some price increases there. Low tier is down around 1%, and honestly I think that'll be the pattern for a few weeks. These are mostly your outputs from trade-ups. These are low tier knives, shit like that. Obviously this will cool down over time as prices of reds, just become unsustainable for most people to buy, so nothing to worry about there. In other news, PriceEmpire, the CS market website essentially, the hub for all things CS market, has actually introduced technical analysis tools on their website to look at charts of skins. Trend lines, indicators, whatever you want, you can use them on any skin you'd like. Now, like with technical analysis on a regular stock chart, they are not gospel. If you're going to use these, know how to use them. If you see a cup and handle pattern and you buy in and lose money, you probably didn't let the pattern confirm. You need to let these patterns confirm. And as we know, Valve can step in and invalidate 3 to 5 months of chart patterns in one single foul swoop. That being said, if the market is left to its own devices, these tools should behave exactly how you expect. It's another edge, so just add it to your toolkit and use when applicable. Alright, last piece, a general piece of skin news. So Valve dropped a community artwork challenge in their update last night, in which they are requesting items for the new Armory update. For weapon finishes, they requested a arabesque pattern, which you may know from the AK skin. Just sort of a royal type of vibe going on, one of those. And a spy/tech theme. So very distinct themes they're asking for. They're also asking for 2 stickers, one in which is fruit and vegetable theme, and the other one auto racing. Now the sticker themes are telling. It feels like the elemental craft stickers are getting phased out with this update, so that could be a potential place to buy something. But the skin themes are kind of harder to read. A lot of people were speculating the new Cobble map was going to come out, or maybe Cash, but these don't really scream Cobble or Cash. If anything, the arabesque kind of screams a Mirage rework. I don't know, nobody knows yet, but keep your eyes open. If they're requesting specific themes, that means something's in the works. So drop your theories in the comments. Curious to see what you guys think about this. So that's the update for December 6th. Gallery call from last week. Spectrum is this week's play. Follow the fundamentals. Don't get greedy. Take your profits, rotate, and you'll make a lot of money in this market. If this helped you, like, subscribe, whatever. Later.